Hey, what's going on, everybody? I know it's been a cool minute since I've been on here. So much has been going on. And so much has been going on. And so I was going to talk about some other things. I really was. And then in the midst of celebrating one of my daughters who turned 37 today, I saw something that to me was very disturbing. And it's a grieving situation if you really think about it. And so I don't know how anybody thinks about it. So I'm just going to talk about this just for a brief moment. So hello to everyone that's watching me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So I don't know if you've paid attention to news recently, but I want you to get a level of understanding of something. So, maybe none of y'all can hear what's happening in my background, so I can go shut it down. So, like I said, I don't know if y'all been watching and paying attention to different things. But there's some things that are so disturbed. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. So let me go handle that real quickly and I'll be right back. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Okay. I'm back. So like I said, I don't know if you all been like paying attention to a lot of what's been happening in our world today. Most recent, I know a lot of people are on the major, I won't say major, a lot of people are having conversation, as it relates to, P. Diddy. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. And I'm not going to address that tonight. So just recently, there have been 5 executions between September 20th and September 26th. I repeat, there have been 5 executions between September 20th and September 26th. I'm only familiar with 2. I'm going to make myself familiar with the others. I am familiar with Freddie Owens. I'm familiar with Marcellus Williams. I'm not familiar about what happened with Travis. So Freddie Owens' execution was this past Friday in South Carolina. Today, Marcellus Williams was executed in Missouri. In Texas, Travis T.J. Mullins was executed. Scheduled for this upcoming Thursday in Alabama, Alan Miller. Scheduled for Thursday in Oklahoma, Emmanuel Littlejohn. 5 executions between September 20th and the 26th of 2024. Let that marinate in your mind right now. I don't know how you view about it. I don't know how you think about it, but that's interesting to me. Now, let me go to the next thing I want to go for. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to say something. Now, I'm not going to discuss whether I'm pro death penalty, versus opposition for or whatever. That's not my journey tonight. That may be a conversation I may have early. I'll say this much on the death penalty. I believe this, and I'm going to say this, down through the years, it has a very racist bias perspective as it relates to who gets executed. This is not something that I'm just talking about and just trying to make up something. This is a fact. Even in our Constitution, there are things that I don't think we always pay attention to. And as a kid, I didn't pay attention to a lot of things because it didn't pull me as it has in recent time. I'll give you a case in point. The 13th Amendment. Okay, the 13th Amendment says this: neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. I want you to pay attention to the language. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. You know what that's still saying? Slavery is still in the land. It's just coming in a different form. Slavery has not been completely abolished. I'm going to say this, and it's facts, and you can look this up yourself. I was appalled recently to find out within not too long ago, I believe it was either in 2020 or 2022. Did you know that when the 13th Amendment was ratified many years ago, did you know that way back in 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified, that there was one state that did not send their proper work, their paperwork into the United States Capitol? Did you know that Mississippi, in recent years, within the last 4 years, finally ratified in their state the 13th Amendment? I want y'all to catch that. I want y'all to think about that. And we keep hearing people say, oh, the United States is this. Oh, the United States. Yes, we have freedom. Yes, we got freedom of speech. But there's that subtle stuff that I don't think we're really paying attention to. It is the subtle stuff. It is, I tell people all the time, at least when people say something out loud and they're boisterous and they're saying a lot of stuff, at least when you hear them say a lot of stuff, at least you know where they're going. It's that subtle stuff. It's that covert stuff. It's that secret stuff. It's that undermining stuff. It is those things that are not articulated, those things that are not expressed. And if you don't pay attention to it, and we don't pay attention to it. So I want to go back to what I was saying. Mississippi, a few years ago, look it up, just ratified the 13th Amendment. How was that possible? From 1865 to a few years ago, it was finally ratified because somebody didn't file all the paperwork that should have been. So then we keep wondering, well, why were certain things happening in Mississippi? Well, now we know why. Because somebody dropped the ball. And even though we're talking about, the late great Bishop George Dallas McKinney wrote a book talking about the new slave owners. Okay? Talked about the new slave owners. Then you have other things that we have to deal about or look at. We're looking at a wonderful book that I would recommend. I have it in my archives, and I'm still reading on it. It is called The New Jim Crow Mass Incarceration by Michelle Alexander. I think that is something that, and I bought that a while back because she's making reference to a lot of the things that are taking place in our world today. And this is something that we have to really glance at and look at. What was I going to say? And that is this. When we look at the United States of America and we keep hearing certain things, oh, this is not a racist country. Historically, majority of our presidents have owned slaves. It is a political situation. And a lot of people don't want church people or people in the church to get involved, quote unquote, in politics. Politics is nasty. Politics, I'm just going to keep it 100. To me, politics is just like some of the foolishness I see in church. The politics is nasty. It's degrading. It's disheartening. It's corrupted. It's all of that. But I want to share something with you. I want to talk about Freddie Owens and Marcellus Williams. I'm not discounting other ethnicities, but from a disproportionate perspective, disproportionately, we as a people are suffering more in the prison system than anybody else. And it has been proven from the National Registry that more of Black people, hear me well, look it up, more of Black people, there are 7 times more, 7.5 times more likely to be incarcerated for a crime, hear me well, that they did not commit. Let me tell you one thing that tripped me out about the whole Freddie Owens situation and him being accused of killing someone at the clerk. Now, here's the thing. There is a witness, and this is the thing that gets me. There's a witness that said that he, while in jail, said that he lied because if he told who the real killer was, he felt that he was going to be killed. So he took a deal that would give him a lesser time in prison. And he lied and said that Freddie Owens did it. When this evidence came up, because allegedly the gentleman Henry Cole, I think his name is Henry Cole, something Cole, said that he lied, and he explained why he lied. The judge, the individual said it's not enough evidence, and this person has went against their testimony and all that. Now, somebody explain something to me. You can still go ahead and execute somebody when somebody just admitted. Now, this person then lied, said that they lied. You didn't even investigate the fact that this person lied. You didn't investigate it. They did not, from what I've read on several different sites, they did not investigate what this person said because they said he changed his mind and there's evidence. But then there's also evidence that Freddie Owens was not even present when this situation went down. That a girlfriend, or they said that he had. I don't know if you ever watched that movie. But let me tell you something. And I've told this to young men many times before. When you go into that back room and they want to have all these conversations with you, do not have the conversation. We seen the movie. We seen with the 5 and the exonerated 5. We seen the movie of You Have Not, should go see it, where somebody was there for their friend and was there supporting, and they manipulated and they coerced them and they persuaded these young men, here it is, to have conversation without an adult or a legal representation there. And it's also said that Miranda rights were not even executed or given or expressed. And so I'm going to talk about something else. But when I saw this, it disturbed me. And I said to myself, how many times did this happen? We go all the way back to Emmett Till. We go all the way back to Emmett Till, where Emmett Till's mama wanted to show the world what his face looked like because some white woman lied and said, he whispered, he looked at her, all of that. And then they came and got him for a look. This is the ridiculous situation. We want to talk about executions and exonerations. So I want to let me share something with you, okay? Because this is crazy. Black people, as I said, are 7.5 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder in the United States than whites. More, and about 80% more likely to be innocent than others convicted of murder. This is according to the National Registry of Exonerations. I want y'all to catch that. Okay? In a book that was called Race and Wrongful Conviction, United States 2022, reviewed the cases of like 3,200 innocent defenders exonerated in the United States since 1989. I got out of high school in 1989. Black people, the researchers found, were 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted, were more likely to be the targets of police misconduct, and were more likely to be in prison longer, than being before being exonerated. Do y'all hear this? African Americans constituted 56% of all death sentenced exonerees. 55% of wrongful murder convictions resulting in life in prison imprisonment. 54% of wrongful murder convictions in which exonerees were sentenced to imprisonment for terms of years. Innocent Black people are about 7.5 times more likely to be convicted, here it is, of a murder than innocent white people. I want y'all to hear this. And people know I got people that are white in my family or are connected to me that I don't have an issue. But what we have to address these situations. I want y'all to read, Black defendants were sentenced to an average prison term of 35 years among individuals who were murder exonerees who were not sentenced to death or imprisonment. White murder exonerees who were not sentenced to life or death imprisonment were sentenced to an average term of 28 years. Why are we as a people in there longer than that? Why? Black people wrongfully convicted of murder also spend longer in prison before being exonerated. Listen to this. Of 75 innocent death row defendants who spent 30 years or longer in prison before being exonerated, 67% are Black. The racial pattern is similar for all murderer exonerees, regardless of sentence. Of the 181 exonerees who spent 25 years or longer in prison before release, 68% are Black. Among the 10 who lost 40 or more years to prison is 80%. This is an issue. So we can't keep talking. So let me say this. So while everybody or a lot of people are having conversation, let me tell y'all something. And I'm gonna go here for this brief moment. And here's the issue. Did y'all hear this? This is on the National Registry of Exonerations. That more Black people are proven to be innocent and they locked up in there. Here we dealing with Marcellus Williams, who was just executed today. No evidence of his DNA on the knife. None whatsoever. No evidence whatsoever. What is evidential is that police officers put their hand without gloves on the knife that allegedly Marcellus Williams did. And so because it was so gruesome and it was so much against him, then his attorney made him make a deal of no contest, first degree murder. But from the jump, and I don't care, listen, I don't care if he was a Muslim. That's not my battle. Because, some Christians make me sick. They'll be like, oh my God, see if he was with Jesus. No, bump all of that. The fact of the matter is, disproportionately, this is what's happening amongst our own people. And innocent people are going, and then some of these people are dead and they're gone. And then years later, they find out the truth. But they're dead. They're killed. I can't remember who it was, but there were some young boys were killed young because somebody lied and then found out later after they had been executed that it was a lie. Are y'all understand what I'm telling you right now? This is ridiculous. It's sad. And then people don't want us to say anything. It's irritating. It's frustrating. Are y'all understanding? Listen, official misconduct was rampant in wrongful murder convictions. How is it that a group, we are at least 13% in the population. So how in the world, y'all know where I'm going with this? How are we populating or being more in prison? Now, listen, don't come. I'm not talking about people who wrongfully did stuff or that have illegally done some stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when there has been proof on top of proof and people's lives. They've missed their dad, their parents' funeral. They didn't see their child get raised up. Or they didn't see that, or they were a working individual and now they are not able to bring income into the family because somebody said something. I read where a particular individual was 13 miles away. I don't want to get his name mixed up. I think his last name was Anderson. 13 miles away from where the crime was committed, and he was in a locked-in warehouse, and he got accused of killing somebody, and he was 13 miles away. Are y'all hearing me? In that report, it found that official misconduct is considerably higher among murder exoneration with Black defendants, 78% compared to 64%. 85% of Black exonerees who were sentenced to death were victims of official misconduct, compared to 70% of white death row exonerees. The National Registry said this, and I quote, "Judging from the rate of false convictions among death sentences, several thousand defendants have been falsely convicted of murder in America in the past 40 years. More than half of them were Black." I want you to think about this. So here's my concern. Former President Trump, what are you going to do about this? VP Kamala Harris, what are you going to do about this? Because while people are battling, and they should have a debate on pro-choice and pro-life, but who's taking care of the people who are being murdered, who are being wrongfully convicted? Who's defending the individual? Because say what you want to, and this is why they don't want certain stuff to be taught in school. They don't want to hear the real history that is happening in the United States of America, where you read historically, where you had presidents that was like, my focus is not on Black people being integrated into society. That is not my battle. That's not my focus. Presidents. Or people like Abraham Lincoln, who everybody celebrates for the Emancipation Proclamation, but it was a political thing. It had nothing to do with trying to emancipate. I keep telling people, let's think about this. If the Emancipation Proclamation freed all slaves, then why in the world do we need a 13th Amendment? Because Black people have been the chattel for people. We've been the property for people. Don't care what Candace Owens and all the Black conservatives say. We got to deal with reality. Now, am I saying not to stand up and fight and not use certain things as a weapon or weaponize certain things to try to make it feel? No, I'm not saying that your blackness or your dark skin or your light skin black it doesn't, don't let that be a situation where you cannot fight or keep you in a place where I'm black, I'll never be able to make it. I'm not saying that, but I also need black conservatives, and I also need individuals to come to the reality. And what's the reality? You can't get away from it historically. And they don't want it. DeSantis doesn't want it. People don't want critical race theory to be taught because you don't want people to feel bad. Who's trying to make you feel bad? But let's deal with reality. Let's deal with reality. Let's deal with what we need to deal with. And if it doesn't bother you, does not irritate you, something is wrong with you. I don't care if you're a pastor, a bishop, an imam, a priest, something ought to bother you. It ought to aggravate you. It ought to irritate you. It ought to have you being totally upset. No matter what your position is about the death penalty, no matter what your position is, when innocent people are being convicted of stuff they have not done, and it's showing that it's more people of color, and specifically black people, that's a problem. So what's happening? What are we going to say to Governor Newsom or whoever your governor is? What are we going to say to our mayors? This is why it's so important for all of us to make sure. Let me go to something. Who was it? Was it Freddie Owens or was it Marcellus Williams? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember where it was majority white jurors versus the blacks that were there. It should have been balanced. And so this is another reason why they felt they were being, I can't think of the lawful term that they use, but pretty much saying that, was it racial and insensitism or racial, I can't remember the terminology that was used, but pretty much saying you got rid of all the black people to be a part of the jury because what you felt. This is the problem. And don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who have fought with the civil rights. You take John F. Kennedy, who in the beginning was not even concerned about the rights of black people. But then when he made his decision, say what you want to, that's how I feel. I could be 1,000% wrong. I ain't saying the Holy Ghost told me that because the Holy Ghost told me that. I wouldn't care what nobody thought. But John F. Kennedy was not trying to be supportive of the black people. And he finally began to sign something that was to help with black people. And then a few days later, what happened? He gets assassinated. You can't tell me that's coincidental. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, never have been. But you can't tell me that's coincidental. All that time he been cool, and now after he tried to help black people, people have been dragged. How many times will our people get messed up? When Dylan, what's his name? Last name Roof, went into that African Methodist Episcopal church full of 9 people and went in there and killed those people. And then these police officers take this fool to get him something to eat at Burger King. Now, I don't have to agree with what Tyreek Hill did, according to some of the videos that has recently come out. But my deal is, Dylan goes in there and kills people. Tyrese resists the police, which he should not have done. But what happened to his Happy Meal? Why didn't he get the chance to go? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? If we don't deal with the situation at hand, like, I'll give you a case in point because I want you to understand that I'm very neutral about my position. Case in point, there was a time, from my understanding, in the Los Angeles Unified School District, that they would do random searches. Parents began to complain about random searches, right? What were the random searches? When they would randomly go in, just so happened that every time they did a random search, it was a person of color. It was a black person. It was a Latino or it was somebody black or somebody Hispanic. Majority of the time, more than the other ethnicities. Here's my argument. You got rid of random searches because you said they're targeting black people. If every time a random search comes, come on now, if every time a random search comes, if every time a random search comes and the black person, the Hispanic, is the one that always has it, or the Asian, or the white person, you get, or they pick it on white people. No, if the white people are the one that always have it when the random search is done every time, then it's not your ethnicity is being targeted. You just happen to be a part of the ethnicity or the ethnic group that always has it. And I think we really need to really look at this and really take into consideration. It's about the something to me. And you know it's bad when both families, from my understanding, from Freddie Owens, the family that was a victim of the crime, or Marcellus Williams, where the family petitioned that he would not be killed. What happened to and down through the years, everything? Yes, and down through the years, it looked like. But this is a country that has flipped out. What the young people say nowadays, the United States of America, our justice system they've crashed out. How are they crashed out? Because this country is supposed to be centered on a person is not guilty, is innocent until proven guilty. Now they're guilty until they're proven innocent. That's a problem. It's a major, major problem. You get caught doing something, you need to be arrested. If you caught resisting police and it's obvious, you need to be arrested. You need to be detained. If you shot at somebody and they retaliated back and they shot you and they killed you, that's the consequences. But when innocent people, and it's in the registry, the National Registry, if that ain't showing you no racist bias, then what is? Fix it. We got to fix this. It's ridiculous. Going back to the Freddie Owens thing. So the guy who said, the gentleman last name Cole, said he lied. He said he felt bad that an innocent man's life was going to be taken all these years. I'm about to go somewhere, and y'all may say, some of y'all may say, you can't compare that. The lady today, or I won't say today, Gloria, I can't think of the attorney's name, Gloria Frida, what is that attorney's name? Oh my gosh. What is that attorney's name? It's Gloria something. Gloria Allred, I think that's what it is. Gloria Allred was online with the young lady who's accusing P. Diddy of gender coercion. I ain't never heard that in my life. I was like, I ain't never heard of that. Where am I going with this? What P. Diddy is alleged to have done was years ago. And so now he's dealing with racketeering. He's dealing with, what else is he dealing with? Racketeering, prostitution, and some other things. My point of bringing this up is this. Many years ago, this stuff happened. want y'all to catch where I'm going. A year ago, all this stuff happened years ago. And now people are starting to say something, and it's now coming out. No matter how many years ago it was, people are coming out. Bodyguards are coming out saying all kinds of stuff. Yeah, P. Diddy was this. Marlon Wayans saying, I ain't never experienced that. It must have happened when I left. Got ex-bodyguards. People used to work with P. Diddy are coming around saying now that he did these certain things. I think those little sick, perverted people need to go to, just like I said during the time of R. Kelly. And when he was going through his experience, I felt within myself, you parents, basically, you pimped your child because it was R. Kelly. You need to be your behind need to be put in jail. You need to be incarcerated as well. Because you saw this with, and allegedly supposed to be with minors, and y'all sit there and condone this, and you use your children. Loughridge, what does this have to do with what you're talking about? Here's my point. These people came years ago. These people came years ago, years later. And what is happening? Now, evidence from years ago is coming, even though R. Kelly denied, even though right now P. Diddy is denying it, but they're listening to the evidence from years ago. Here this man in jail says to them, an innocent man is going to die because I lied. And the Supreme Court says concerning Freddie Owens, that man is lying. We gonna execute him anyway. That's the craziest thing in the world. He's admitting that he lied. You didn't even take into consideration to do evidence of a lie because you're trying to say it's not enough evidence. But let somebody else tamper with evidence or lie. And he tells you that the person who had a conversation with him, the prosecutor told him, if you say this, if you say these things, then what's going to happen? He says, you won't be in jail as long. Put it on him. And now this man getting ready to die. And now I'm finding out, which is disturbing to me too, now they're putting, I can't think of the proper name right now, but now they're putting to inject people into their veins what goes into animals and dogs. Now, see, I could be stretching it, but now the thing that they put in dogs, you know, that form of euthanasia, if you will, the thing that they put in dogs, so when to put them down, is now being used in humans. And once again, the National Registry lets us know that it's us that's doing the dying. So why in the world did they receive Cole's previous testimony, but now he's backtracking and somebody innocently died from just on that, or should not have been executed? And then and that was being said that Freddie Owens wasn't even there. Y'all remember that shooting that took place, I believe is in Georgia? This is a sad situation. The kid who was shot and dead, they put the name of the one who did the killing and labeled the kid who died as the individual who did the shooting, and he dead. You know something is wrong in this country when the victim is being accused of a murder and he's the one dead. That's a problem. That's a major Major problem. And we have to wake up. This is a sad situation. This is why I entitled it Executions and Exonerations. This is why I try to encourage young males in particular. Don't go out there getting caught up in gang banging, drug dealing, drug using, prostitution, all of that. Because once you get out there doing shenanigans and doing illegalities, this system is going to take you to places farther than you're supposed to go. And the death of common sense, huh? When you have no evidence, and then the people who you're finding out evidence has come, and now the people that could probably speak on your behalf, they're dead. Or every time, and then I think it was Freddie Owens, they were supposed to execute that man a long time ago. This is the thing that tripped me out. Because they couldn't find the right drugs to use to inject into him. This is some crazy stuff. So, Kamala Harris to talk about that. Well, Donald Trump to talk about that. I want their VPs to talk about that. I want MSNBC. I want Joy Reid, and I want Chris Cuomo, and I want Anderson Cooper. I want Abby Phillips, and who else? Cory Booker, and I want all these individuals. I want Roland Martin. Come on. Everybody coming for Janet Jackson because what she said about Kamala Harris. Roland Martin came hardcore after Tyrese and other people did as well. But my thing is, when are we going to say stuff when stuff is wrong? Now, come on, we'll celebrate when stuff is right. Yeah. I don't put every police officer in the same category. I have people that I know that are in the police world, in the police department. They're law enforcement people. I don't put everybody there, but I'm also not a dummy. I know people who work in there and the system is rotten, they say. And they feel I just may be the one that make the difference. But then historically, it just seems like even the establishment of the police, the law enforcement, it was slave patrol. It's a lot of things in this country that has been done. The guy I like to watch, what's his first name? I can't remember his first name right now. Man, but his last name is McCrim. The treadmill, y'all. Something that is used now for exercise purpose back in the day was used as a thing of torture. Torture. Did y'all hear what I said? Torture. Come on, y'all. Torture. Something that was used back in the day that was used now. And this is why people get mad at me, because I'm not an advocate for nigga or nigger. I said it. Because of its historicity. Only black people that I know of Want to take something that's derogatory and make something and let's redeem it. And I'm closing, I've never heard a white person say, don't call me a cracker, call me a cracker. I've never heard no one that's Mexican or Hispanic say, don't call me a wetback, call me a wetbacker. I've never heard them say, call me a beanerer. I ain't never heard nobody who is Asian and somebody call him Ching Ching say, don't call me Ching Ching, call me Ching Chinka. I've never heard it. Oh, but they didn't call us a nigger down through the years. So we're going to call each other niggers because we're going to take it back. And then we try to get creative. And then we try to, you know, and I've had this discussion with people. It's like, no. People were mad when the Django came out and the actor kept using the word nigga, nigga, nigga throughout the whole thing. But I'm just saying, historically, what I'm saying is what happens is we now begin to settle for mistreatment, and we should not. We should not. We need more attorneys, prosecutors, and defendants. Because let me tell you something. I used to be upset because I was like, if these people are killing people, they don't need no. But then when you start looking at people like a Marcellus Williams, and you look at an Emmett Till, and you look at a George Floyd, and you look at a Sonia Massey, you look at all these different people down through the years when somebody is prosecuting them. We needed somebody to defend Trayvon Martin. And maybe that's another situation that's a problem for me too. Seems like some of our attorneys are whack. Some. No matter how, Johnny Cochran did one of the best things, one of the best that I think in the world. But what I'm saying is, we got to understand where we are. I used to be like, how y'all, I have a cousin who's a defense attorney. I have relatives who are defense attorneys. One that was, I don't think he's that way now, but and I can understand it. But when you begin to understand how disproportionately Black people are treated and how they're handled, somebody got to fight on their behalf when they're innocent. So while we sit up here fighting for pro-choice and pro-life, somebody needs to be worrying about the lives of people whose lives are being taken innocently and being executed. Or they've been exonerated and they've been in jail for all those many years, wasted. 35 years compared to the white people's 25. What's up with that? And you, Donald Trump, want to talk about let's make America great again. Let's deal with this stuff right here. Let's deal with this. Kamala Harris was district attorney for California. Good. Let's deal with this stuff right here. Should people who break the law go to jail? Absolutely. But should innocent people be made to stay in a system that is against them? Absolutely not. Should not be. As James said in chapter 3 of the book of James in the Bible, these things ought not to be. And if you don't feel some way about it, something wrong with you. All right. So like I said, you don't have to go by what I'm saying, but I want you to go look at it And I want you to go to examine it. Go read that book, Race and Wrongful Conviction in the United States. This was done in 2022. Go look at it. Because a lot of this stuff that we're experiencing and seeing is not making any sense. I know a young man right now who, because there was no evidence of the gunpowder on him, that's what saved him from being in jail for murder. I know Bishop John Jushir meant this for the Church of God in Christ. But when it comes to stuff like this, we got work to do. We got work to do. Lord, you help us. You help us, Lord. Help us to help ourselves. Help us to help ourselves. Help us to do what is necessary to protect every individual, to stand up for people, and help us to fight against this raggedy system, this ungodly system. Help us, God, to speak truth to power. Help us to be like our predecessors, our ancestors, our forefathers, our midwives, the civil rights movement, and those who said, I'm going to stand up even if it costs my life. Help us, Lord, to be willing to die for the cause and be like David when he came to face Goliath and said, is there not a cause? Help us, God, not to be in a coma, but be like what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, that let judgment run down like a mighty stream. It's so sad, God, but you help us. You help us, Lord. You told us in your word to protect, to relieve the oppressed. You told us that pure religion through your word. James told us what pure religion is, that we are unspotted from the world. So you help us, Lord. In Jesus' name. Amen and amen. I'm done. Normally, I do. May the love of God, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. But I'm going to say this. Don't go to sleep when a giant is in front of you threatening. Let's pick up our stones and let's fight the Goliath of racism. Let's fight the Goliath of discrimination. Let's fight against the Goliath of racial injustice, social injustice, slavery, the new Jim Crow law that is here prevalent in our world. And let's slay this giant. Here it is, by using, as David did, his own sword. Because that's how the system of Goliath was destroyed, by David using what worked for Goliath against him. Let's cut off the head of racism, social injustice with the sword that's been trying to kill us and has been killing us for years. Good night. I'm done.